private higher education institutions in compliance with Section 29 of the Constitution. Therefore, the bill provides an opportunity for a discussion on this question of autonomy by affected stakeholders and the public. The Department of Higher Education and Training is also currently in consultation with the sector, developing sets of indicators on financial health, governance, performance, and transformation. The goal is to use these indicators to align the autonomy and diversification of universities with accountability and the effective management of these institutions. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
The Honorable Majola.
Thanks very much, Honorable Speaker. Thanks, Honorable President, for what even the opposition should agree is a very comprehensive reply. Once again, thank you very much for granting our students a 0% increase for the 2016 academic year. Honorable President, would you please clarify whether this new bill would not interfere with academic freedom? I thank you.
The Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The new bill will not interfere with academic freedom. I think, as I've just read it, it talks about balancing the autonomy and the public accountability, whilst at the same time dealing with the issue of transformation, the university's roles. It does not at all interfere. If anything, it enhances that relationship. Thank you.
The Honorable Hlengwa.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Mr. President, a few weeks ago, I asked the Deputy President the questions I'm about to ask, and hopefully I'm probably going to get a better response from you than I did from him. The 0% increment, had students not gone on the protest, would not have materialized, because the issue of free education was not at all on government's radar. It took a protest for government to actually respond. In the first instance, the 0% increment does not address the immediate concerns of the students, which is fees must fall. It's not that an increase must not be there. So you have made this pronouncement in the absence of any concrete plans, without any vision, and the question is, where does the money come from for all of this? Because at the end of the day, somebody must pay, and ultimately, it is the taxpayer. Secondly, Minister Nzimande then quipped to say students must fall. Is that how government is taking students? A Minister of State, so senior, to quip that students must fall. I would want to hear the comments of the President in that regard, because those comments were insensitive and devoid of the realities confronting students on the ground. But your 0% increment on the surface of it is a PR exercise in the absence of concrete plans of how education is going to be funded freely. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Honorable the President.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I don't think I will go to other issues that the Honorable Member has asked, which perhaps relate to his own experience when he was asking the question from the Deputy President. I think the critical point is that we had a meeting with the representatives of the students, as well as the representative of the institutions of higher learning. We discussed all the matters that needed to be discussed whilst the strike or the protest was still going on. We, sitting in the same meeting, took very specific decisions. One, that there will be zero rise of fees next year. That was very important because that is what sparked the protest. And then agreed that all other matters raised in the meeting will be gone into by the committee or the commission that I talked about. That I'm in the process of establishing. They will deal with all of those issues that were raised. And the matter of 2016, that matter is being addressed. The issue of zero fees is not going to affect the starting of schools next year. And that matter is being handled, and I think the Minister of Higher Education has said something about that matter. So that matter is being addressed. There will be no rise indeed, and there will be money to pay. Thank you.
The Honorable Ndlozi.
Thank you, Speaker. Mr. President, the idea of institutional autonomy comes into being to protect Section 16(1)(d) of the Constitution, which speaks about academic freedom. The fear why we give institutions institutional autonomy is because we are trying to guarantee and to safeguard the value of academic freedom. What is your view on academic freedom in relation to institutional autonomy? And lastly, because you did not respond properly earlier on, what is your view? How is academic freedom, which is a constitutional right of universities and institutions of higher learning, how will it be balanced with institutional autonomy? And then two, what is the political attitude?
That's a third question, Honorable
It's actually
Member.
the second, Speaker.
No, it's the third
What is
question.
the political attitude? Are you going to give students fee-free universities? Fee-free universities or not? I know there is a commission, but what is the political attitude? Are you going to give students a fee-free university or not?
Honorable the President.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Firstly, the issue of the academic freedom. I think all of us have agreed that you need academic freedom as enshrined in the Constitution. And that freedom is important for education. We have also said there must be an autonomy of the institutions of higher learning so that they can do their work without much interference. What we are saying, because that matter has been raised by the students very strongly, is one of the matters they've raised very strongly. We have said autonomy will be looked at by the commission, is one of the matters that will be looked at. And I'm sure there will be a very specific recommendation on that matter that we'll have to look at when the commission reports. If you asked me politically, my own view, there is no autonomy that could be absolute. It's relative. And everything is relative. And that is what must be found within balancing. Because it must be balanced. You can't have an autonomy that is absolute, it's not relative. That's a political point, very important political point. And we are saying, therefore, how do you balance these two? Well, they need to be balanced. That, again, without saying, giving instructions to the commission, we will hear when they do their work and when they report, what are they saying on those matters. With regard to the matter of free university education, I'm sure you will recall, Honorable Member, that the matter of free education is a policy of the ruling party. That's our policy. Established decades ago. and we have tried to begin to implement it. That is why at the lower levels, there are schools that are free from fees as part of the implementation of that policy. What we have not done is to say today, from today, the education is free. But we have said that is our goal. We have started the implementation. Poor students or young people from poor families are no longer paying school up to matric. That's part of the implementation of the policy. With regard to the institutions of higher learning, that's a matter we've been looking at, and the department has been looking at it. Actually put up a commission or a grouping to deal with the matter, investigate it, come up. There is even a report that has been written on that issue to say, how do we implement this? That report, for an example, will be taken into consideration by the commission so that it will come up. What I am happy about is that for the first time in the country, everybody agreed with the ANC policy that there must be free education. Wonderful.
The Honorable Kubisa.